fixin' to ride.
Alright, so I'm setting this center to center up on these clutches. Well, clutch shafts. And wanted to point something out to you guys. Let me set you up here. First and foremost, I got this bolt hole down here wallowed out a little, just egged out, and that's exactly, the manual actually tells you to do that. I don't know why they wouldn't have done that from the factory, but I did the same on this one. I don't think I'm going to need it on the back one there, but they tell you to do that in the manual so you can get your clutch distance. And you know what? I did notice that this frame, this chassis, is a hair very unnoticeably tweaked. And it's just up a tiny bit on this side, like that. So I'm only assuming it's got a little bit of a back angle as well. I barely even noticed it. Like, I didn't notice it until I got it clean. I got it on the stand and nothing was on it. So not a big deal though. You can't tell when it's sitting on the ground. But so when stuff like that happens, they want you to egg out these holes a little bit. And then what you'll do is you'll use this bumper right here. All right, so this right here is your torque bumper. And what happens is when the engine does torque back, it'll stop against that. And you're not actually supposed to have this thing tight up against the back of this engine here. So what you want to do is you want to get your engine ready to where you're ready to tighten it down, but it's not tight, and you want to measure center to center between these two shafts. I set mine up to where I'm just a hair short of 12 1/4, and it's 12.2. That's what it's supposed to be. So after you get it, what I do is I use this right here. I don't put this bolt in down here that goes up into this motor mount here. And so I take this torque bumper and push the engine out to where I get the right clearance. And once I get the right clearance, then I know exactly what type of shim to put back in here. I use shims. You know, a lot of people might be like, oh no, it's not how you do it. You got to do the other, this and that. Well, I use a shim back here. That's the way they used to do it on the old chassis. So, you know, what's the big deal of doing it here? And I just use I'll use washers, thick washers, 3/8 inch washers. And usually they're the fat ones, you know, they're nice and round, so they moderately match the diameter of the actual motor mount. So I'll push it forward, and then I know how much space I have there. And first I tried one washer and then put it back, and it was short. The distance here was too short. So then I cranked it back out so I could fit two in there, and then lined it up, put the bolt in, got it started, and then loosened this up, tightened down the bolt here, and then you got your center to center. So when you set this back up though, you don't want to set it up to where it's pushing against this. You actually want to have it sitting back about 20 thousandths of an inch. You know, and I'll be honest, when I first got into snowmobiles, I thought, yeah, this is what you use to adjust you loosen up the motor mounts, you use this to adjust it and leave it there and tighten down the bolts, but that's not how you do it. So you just want a tiny little hair of a space in there and then tighten it down. So I was just getting ready to tighten it down and wanted to, you know, just tell you guys how it's supposed to be. And then you can see the end result. All right, we'll zoom in here and you can, when I push on the motor, you should be able to see that tighten up. That's all you want it to do. So now that I got that done, I can go ahead and go around and tighten up my bolts. So once I get that tightened down, then I'll go ahead and drain the fuel. I'll be able to button up the fuel line, and then I'll be able to put the exhaust on. Well, first I'm going to do the APV valves back here. I got new ones. I'm going to put those on there. I got the servo on already. And then once that's done, I'll get the recoil starter cord put up through the chassis, put the handle on, put the exhaust on, getting this thing buttoned up so I can just finish up the suspension. So I'll start on that. All right, so this primary clutch is looking pretty crusty. So I'm gonna go ahead and zap it in the soda blaster and clean it up before I put it back in. So I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. So this is my soda blaster here. It's nothing special. Like I said, it's just got bicarbonate of soda inside. Got a little light. It's there's the door there. And then I got my little dust collector, the hose. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and stick this thing in there, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I bring it out. All right, this is out of the soda blaster, and then I hit it with burgundy Scotch Brite and some Dawn dish soap, hot water, sprayed it off. It's not perfect on the back here, but that stuff's really hard to get off. I'd probably have to put it in the actual sand blaster and hit it with a glass bead, but then I'd have to disassemble the whole thing. But yeah, it's clean and moves really nice. So it's like butter. So now I can put that back on as well. But first I'm gonna get the rest of the engine buttoned up, and then get the drive shaft track in, and then I'll put the clutches on. Go from there. All right, so putting these brand spanking new power valve cables on. Man, you guys would not believe the other one. The one that was busted, which I think was this long one here, it wouldn't even move in there. And then all this, you can see a little bit here, but these were black. I mean, I had this, didn't even want, see how free this moves? That's the way it's supposed to be. Well, it was so gummed up because I didn't clean them, but there was probably only maybe 500 or 600 miles on it. But it was just the fact that it sat for so long, I think, and just kind of dry. Because oil does evaporate, or oil does, yeah, oil evaporates. The moisture in it evaporates, and it gets thick, changes, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's why it got so bad. But we got them all cleaned up. Actually, me and Mrs. C, she helped me clean them up. And this one, actually, this gasket broke, so I just made some new gasket paper. Gaskets, and these suckers look a lot better. So they were like black. This end was covered with carbon. So I took my little flap disc there, flap wheel, cleaned them up. They don't have to be perfect. You know, you can shine them up to where they look like, silver, but it's not necessary. But I wanted to show you guys, when you put these in, this is the way you put them in. So you want it to where the long part is on the top and not on the bottom, because the exhaust port is on the bottom. So if you look at the way these are in there, they're in there like that. And once the engine reaches, like, I think it's 68 or 6,900 RPM, 7,000, right around 7,000 RPMs, the computer tells the servo motor to turn, and it pulls these open, or it pulls these back, and it essentially creates a bigger exhaust port. And that just, the cylinders are designed to where they have good low end torque. And so, Calvin, will you hold this for me? There, so I can put these valves through there. They're designed to where they have good low end torque, so when the power valves open up at the 7,000 RPMs, they will have good high RPM torque as well. And that's because the exhaust port opens up. So if you guys want more detail on these and watch me clean them, I do have a video. I will put a link. I could put a link in the description, but right now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a link to when I first took these valves out, when I first redid this sled. And I completely go through them. I show you all the parts and everything and how they go together. They're pretty, there's just a lot of parts. They're not real complicated on how they work, but on how, how they're built, there's just a lot of parts. But so next thing we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little Loctite on all 3 of those bolts. Those have been cleaned. Torque those down. I believe they're 4 foot-pounds, maybe 6 foot-pounds, something like that. And then I think these are 8. Oh yeah, so it's 4 for these little ones, and then 8 for these. And these are 4mm. These are 10mm hex bolts, and these are socket head bolts. So I'm gonna get that done, and then the next thing is to adjust these, and it's pretty easy. I'll tell you how to do it. I also did that, and I have another video for that. So I've done a lot of this stuff already. So if you guys really want to see how it's done, I'll put those in the upper right hand corner of the video. You'll see a little tiny little gray thing pop up right here.